Buddha's direct path is known as Satipatthana. Earlier, this was translated as Four Foundation of Mindfulness. But later, in 1999, Somatera translated this as the arousing of mindfulness. That means arousing of your awareness, uplifting your awareness, in fact. So that is the Buddha's direct path. And Buddha's progressive path is called Eightfold Path or Middle Path. The Eightfold Path, which has two dimensions. One is as a middle path, which is followed by the stream enterers. That means the people who start following Buddha's teaching. And the other dimension is that really whoever followed that progressive path might ended up with getting a glimpse of a truth, or the actually first noble truth, which is the recognizing the non-self nature in you, or you could call it Buddha nature in you. It can happen for a fraction of a second. That's what normally I have heard, that really even some people talking about, oh, I had a glimpse of experience which really profound. But since then, I can't get there. For that, actually, Buddha has given that progressive path in a different dimension, which he calls as Noble Eightfold Path. Now, the first dimension is, of course, called as middle path, and the second dimension, or the other dimension of the same path, is called a Noble Eightfold Path. So the person who has really had a glimpse of experience of non-self may need to follow or Noble Eightfold Path, where your transition gradually sink into you. And so then finally, you will become the fully enlightened. For that process, Buddha has given some stages like, stream vina. In Pali, it's called Sotapanna, Sakrudagami, Anagami, and Arihat. So those four stages followed after that glimpse of experience of non-self. And so that is the progressive path developing within you, even without any effort. So that's how I see the Buddha's direct path and the progressive path. So I could see the resemblance of Buddha's teaching in most of the Rupert's explanation of his experience and the way that experience with others. So specifically on this aspect, that direct and progressive path. So because of that, I thought that I will play some parts of his description on this direct and progressive path, and follow on that explanation, and then make the connection between Buddha's teaching and Rupert's beautiful explanation of how it happens, and then how it can be experienced by anyone who's in this non-dual approach to the wisdom. I'll start with Rupert's explanation or the introduction about the direct and progressive path.
Just for those of you that are not familiar with these two terms, the direct path and the gradual or progressive path, let me just say something about that. The progressive or gradual path is the more traditional approach that you find in nearly all the religious and spiritual traditions, in which we don't go directly to our true nature, as we do here, but we go to our true nature via various steps or stages. In other words, an example of an indirect or gradual progressive approach would be for instance, mantra meditation. By the way, I have nothing against mantra meditation. I practiced it for 25 years myself. This is not a criticism of the progressive path. It is just meant to be an explanation of it. So in mantra meditation, we don't go directly to the presence. We don't allow our attention to sink back or inwards into its source or essence, the presence of awareness. We direct our attention towards an object, in this case, a sound. Being devoted to a guru would be another example of the progressive path. And we're giving our attention to a person, not to ourself. So these are all paths, progressive paths, in which we give our attention to some kind of an object. And the purpose of these paths is to refine our the energies of the mind until they are considered to be sufficiently subtle and pure to sink back into their source.
Here, Rupert beautifully explained about the purpose of this progressive path. As he mentioned, that really to refine the mental energy or the energy of our mind, and to see the subtleness of our mind and go inwardly to the present moment, or the real nature of us, or the true nature of us. So this is the same approach or same process with Buddha's middle path or the Eightfold path. Teaching, like, as Rupert mentioned, that some people go with some guru or some other object or differently, and then somebody need to guide the person. But here, the Buddha's Eightfold Path can be followed by anybody with his own accord, bringing your mind energies to a subtler level, so then you can go directly into the true nature. I will explain the more detail of Eightfold Path in a different episode.
It's the idea of the progressive path. In the end, the progressive path has to end up with the sinking of attention into its source, or the sinking of our devotion into its source, which is love.
Here you can see a convergence of progressive path into the direct path, which we can see in Buddha's Eightfold Path. At the last three steps of the Eightfold Path is more like direct path, where you uplift your awareness. That is the beauty of this.
Sinking of our devotion into its source, which is love. In the direct path, which was always available in most of these traditions, but was not often made explicit, we don't pay attention, at least to begin with, to the objective content of our experience, the condition of our body, our circumstances, our thought, because it is recognized that whatever our experience, we are aware of it. And therefore, awareness is present even in the most dysfunctional mind. And in this case, we go directly, that's why it's called the direct path, directly to the presence of awareness. Yeah, as Rupert mentioned, that really this direct path is mostly present everywhere. I mean, every spiritual teaching, and sometimes they are not prominent as in Buddha's teaching, because Buddha's teaching, the direct path is called, as I mentioned earlier, Satipatthana, where the arousing of your awareness, where the awareness is with you all the time, as Rupert mentioned, and Buddha also knew that. And then, but your dysfunctional mind, it is scattered over 4 different aspects of our life. So that is what Buddha gave that 4 different contemplation method of those 4 different aspects of our life. One is, of course, our
our physical nature, where we normally think it's our body, but it's not only our body, but our attention to our body. So that's why first section of the Satipatthana is dealing with your body and your body consciousness. The main idea of Satipatthana is to bring up or elevate your awareness to a level that really you can see your true nature. So that is what in Buddha's teaching, actually, it's specifically mentioned. This is as a direct path by saying ekaya no maggo. That means some people translate that as the only path, but since he has the eightfold path and eightfold path in two dimension, it's not actually to be translated as only path, but it is as the direct path. So direct path, as Buddha uh, mentioned, it is the uh, Satipatthana, or the bringing up, or the bringing up your awareness. The Sati is awareness, Patthana is actually bringing up or uplifting or enhancing and to the upper level. And it's in Pali, it's translated as Upatthana as well. So, which is bringing it to the very higher level that you can see your true nature. So that is the direct path the Buddha's direct path.
Awareness. Now, as you quite rightly point out, on the progressive path, there is a gradual purification of the mind and the body that takes place as we progress from object to object to object. And therefore, the cleaning up act or the growing up act that you refer to takes place as we develop along the progressive path.
Here that Rupert was mentioning about that cleaning up process, which I mentioned as your virtue and then the mindfulness and the wisdom. So that's three different groups are there in the Eightfold Path, starting with, of course, having a understanding of what you are doing, that is, and then after that, developing your virtue, like, right speech, right action, right livelihood, and then getting into the more subtler level of your mind and contemplating on the true nature of yourself. So that is what Rupert was emphasizing here.
On the direct path, this cleaning up act does not take place on the way, because we're just going directly to our true nature, irrespective of how dysfunctional our mind or the state of our emotion may be. And you are quite right in pointing out that as a result of this, on the direct path, after the recognition of our true nature, there is what Francis once referred to as a post-enlightenment sadhana. That is the practice we do after the recognition of our true nature, which
So here is again I can see the resemblance of Buddha's teaching on here. Now, as Rupert was saying that the direct path is irrespective of your dysfunctional mind or anything, your direct path take you into the true nature. And then for it may be a fraction of a second, you have a glimpse of your true nature. In Buddha's term, of course, it is the non-self. You see the non-self at a fraction of a second. So then after that, there must be some other cleaning to do. That is what Buddha has seen it. And then he explained that in a different way with more different the gradual development of that enlightenment, which are actually the stream winner, once returner, non-returner, and enlightenment, where then really you will eliminate some of your fetters within you. So if I bring some technical terms into this, Buddha has given that really our whole existence depending on 10 fetters. And once you follow this satipatthana or direct path, you will get a glimpse of that enlightenment. At that point in time, you have already eradicated, or you have already eliminated or let go of 3 fetters. Those 3 fetters are Sakkaya Ditthi, Vicikiccha, Silabbata Paramasa. That means actually the identity of yourself and any skeptical doubt, and then of course the any kind of rituals or following that concept is not there anymore. So with that, when you eliminate those 3 fetters, so you are really enlightened in a sense that really you know there is no self there, and then you know the true nature of this world. But still, you do have about 7 other fetters that need to be gradually let go of. That is why Buddha gave that Eightfold Path in a different dimension as a Noble Eightfold Path. So the person who has already become the stream winner, he would gradually follow through that path until he get to the enlightenment. Now, if I give a different analogy for this, it's just like you are driving all the way and then you just change your gear to neutral. So it has been now neutral as a stream winner. So you will be slowing down. There is a little bit of a step, so the gradual slowing down until it stops. So for this, Buddha has given some other interpretation saying that really whoever become stream winner may reborn only for 7 births. So in that case, it is kind of a full guarantee that really if you are a stream winner, it will happen to you, just like a car slowing down and stopping somewhere. But in the same time, if Buddha has given the methods and the path, which is that Noble Eightfold Path, you can use that, or you will go through that, or you can pay more attention to that aspect of your life and stop it at any time. Like, you can put your foot on the brake pedal and stop the car, which is on neutral gear. That's the beauty of the Buddha's uh, detailed explanation of this, but I know that really Rupert is not going into that detail, but he's coming with his experience and trying to explain the same thing to others that really who may not much familiar with those technical side. So I applaud Rupert, and then of course I really like the way he's presenting this, so the anybody can follow it much easier than understanding or counting different things like Eightfold Path or Four Noble Truth. All those things are really, sometimes it's clutter your mind. But Rupert is doing it very well, very nicely, giving it his experience and then getting closer to the person and addressing their own concern, which is a good way to convey this message. So that fourth sadhana is like, the Eightfold Path is working within you to eliminate rest of the 7 fetters. And those things will eliminate little by little. So that is why Buddha said that really once you uh, have that insight, and then you realize that really your true nature is this, but the rest of the things just as something arised. So that is why the second noble truth, Buddha said that really arising of dukkha. So the first noble truth is dukkha, which is actually the true nature of you, Then you realize that really rest of the things are changing, and then it's a fake identity. It's coming through you. That is why Buddha said that arising of dukkha. And then at the same time, he knows that really it can be eliminated, or it will deteriorate, or it will sees, because he has already in the true nature. So then he knows that really it ceases if you let go of it. So that is what Buddha mentioned as cessation of dukkha, which is actually, you know, that really it is been, you have the experience, you have the first-hand experience of cessation of that self-image or that ego. So in fact, somebody might argue that, okay, that is enough. So with that, you are totally awakened and nothing more to do. But Buddha has seen that it won't happen that way. So for some people, it could happen for specific people, of course, but some people, it won't happen that way because, as Rupert was talking about, there is some gradual path to let go of those seven fetters.
That's a rather clinical analysis. In practice, it's a little bit of both, because although the direct path is direct, it doesn't mean that it's instantaneous. You can fly direct from Munich to London, or you can go indirect via Paris. But just because you go direct from Munich to London doesn't mean that it's instantaneous. It still takes time. So even in the direct path, this investigation of our true nature, it takes time, less time than the progressive path, to trace our way back to our true nature.
Yeah, it was a nice analogy that Rupert brought in, and then when I heard that, I actually connected all the dots of what Buddha has mentioned about direct path and the uh, progressive path. And here, so I want to borrow Rupert's analogy. And I would modify his analogy a little bit by saying that direct path is flying from Munich to London, and the progressive path is traveling overland from Munich to London. Just like, you're taking a bus or the train, and then you crossing the English Channel around tunnel and get into London. So that is how I take this analogy, and then I'm going to expand a little bit more as well, because it's fits into the actual framework that Buddha has mentioned about these two paths. So the flight from Munich to London could be a non-stop flight, or with some two stopovers, like from Munich to Paris, Paris to Dublin in Ireland, and then from Dublin to London. So there would be four different entry point to this flight. Like, you are getting into the flight from Munich or from Paris or from Dublin. And of course, when you land in London, of course, you are in the airport, but you have to enter into the London city by walking out from the airport. So those four entry point, I would see that as the four foundation of mindfulness, or the four aspect of our life that Buddha mentioned in the Satipatthana Sutra. In addition to the Satipatthana Sutra, Buddha has given Anapanasathi Sutra as well as the direct path, and which was like, you're taking the flight or from Munich to London non-stop. So this is more focused on the meditation, and specifically breath mindfulness meditation, where that really you can bring up your awareness more rapidly, and then even in a one sitting you can achieve that the inner peace or enlightenment, or the you could see the true nature of yours. So this was delivered just after having a 3-month retreat on one occasion. So Buddha has noticed that at the end of the retreat, there are few people actually not having any success by doing this satipatthana. So he delivered this specific sermon where it has 16 different degree of improving your awareness, which has been categorized or grouped by four different categories with four steps in each category, which is more aligned with the Satipatthana Sutra, or the four foundation of mindfulness, or the four aspect of our existence. So that is why I align this with the our discussion, where the direct path can be taken in Buddha's framework in two different ways. One is like, direct, the non-stop flight from Munich to London, or you can take it as with two stop, where that really you have four entry point to the awakening as well. This is where that I see Rupert's explanations are more resemblance of Buddha's teaching, because when Rupert said that really it could be a rapid process when you take the direct path, or it could take more time. So there's those two aspects is been described in Buddha's teaching in two different discourse. One is that Satipatthana, and in align with the same discourse, the Anapanasathi Sutra. If you're taking the progressive path, you will take that as the middle path at the beginning as a stream enterer, and once you get to the stream winner stage, which is we call that really you realize your true nature, like Rupert was saying, and then of course you need to follow the noble eightfold path, or the actually the sink into the noble eightfold path, or live along with the noble eightfold path to complete your process and get to the full enlightenment. So these are the two aspect that, or two parts that Rupert was talking about. So with all that, I can see the resemblance of Rupert's explanations, and that is why I call Rupert is echoing Buddha's teaching.